Dr. Marcus Chen was a dedicated xenobiologist working at the Horizon Research Outpost, a small facility orbiting Jupiter. He loved his job, spending countless hours studying alien life forms and their unique ecosystems. However, nothing could prepare him for the extraordinary event that would change his life forever. One quiet afternoon, while he was busy analyzing soil samples, a brilliant flash of light erupted in his lab. The sudden burst of energy blinded him momentarily, and when his vision cleared, he found himself face to face with an alien woman. She was unlike anything he had ever seen. Her skin shimmered with a delicate blue glow, and intricate patterns danced across her arms like stars in the night sky. Marcus felt a rush of curiosity and fear as she stumbled towards him, her eyes wide. With panic, before he could react, she collapsed against him, clinging desperately to his lab coat. Tears streamed down her face, glowing softly as they fell, leaving luminous streaks on his clothing. "Help me, please," she sobbed, but her words were in a language he couldn't understand. The universal translator he relied on for communication struggled to process her frantic cries. Confused and overwhelmed, Marcus felt a wave of compassion wash over him. He instinctively wrapped his arms around her, trying to comfort her despite the fear swirling in his mind. Within moments, the outpost's security protocols activated, locking down the lab. Director Amara Okafor, a strong and decisive leader, arrived with a team of armed guards. She demanded answers, her eyes narrowed in suspicion as she assessed the situation. Marcus, still holding the trembling alien woman, felt a rush of emotions: fear for her safety, confusion over what was happening, and a growing sense of responsibility. "Let her go. She's not a threat," he insisted, his voice shaking with urgency. Lyria, as he would later learn her name was, buried her face in his shoulder, her sobs echoing in the tense silence. The guards exchanged uncertain glances, but were hesitant to act against Marcus, who had always been a model employee. "Dr. Chen, we need to handle this carefully. She could be dangerous," Director Okafor warned, her voice firm, yet laced with concern. But Marcus couldn't let them separate him from her. He sensed that she was in pain, not just physically, but emotionally. "Please, just give me a chance to understand her," he pleaded. After a moment of hesitation, Okafor relented, ordering the guards to lower their weapons. They would monitor the situation, but allow Marcus to work with the alien woman. As the lockdown continued, Marcus focused on Lyria, trying to calm her. He gently cupped her face, making eye contact with her wide, pleading eyes. "It's okay. You're safe here," he said softly, though he wasn't sure if she understood. But something in his voice seemed to reach her. Her trembling slowed, and she began to relax, though tears continued to fall. Marcus realized that he needed to find a way to communicate with her. He began to analyze the patterns of her bioluminescent tears, noting how they seemed to pulse rhythmically. It struck him that perhaps her emotions were tied to these glowing tears, and maybe, just maybe, they were a key to understanding her. Hours passed as Marcus worked with Lyria, trying to bridge the gap between their two worlds. He could feel her fear and loneliness, and it tugged at his heart. He wanted to protect her, to help her find her way back home. But as he looked at the glowing tear stains on his lab coat, he wondered what kind of world she came from and what had driven her to seek refuge on a small research station in the vastness of space. As he continued to study her, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning. Whatever had brought Lyria to him, it was a mystery waiting to unfold, and he was determined to solve it. Little did he know that the truth would be far more shocking than he could ever imagine. Days turned into a blur for Dr. Marcus Chen as he tried to piece together the mystery surrounding Lyria and the catastrophic threat to her world. The weight of their shared connection pressed heavily on his shoulders, and he could feel the urgency building with each passing hour. Lyria was not just a stranger. She was a survivor, and the survival of her entire species rested on their ability to communicate and act swiftly, determined to help her. Marcus pored over every scientific journal and data file he could find about cosmic phenomena. He researched anything that might relate to the threat Lyria had glimpsed through their connection. As he worked, he often glanced at her, sitting quietly in the corner of the lab, a figure of grace and sadness. Glowing skin had dulled, and Marcus could sense the despair that lingered in her heart. She was losing hope, and he couldn't let that happen. One evening, as twilight bathed the lab in soft golden light, Marcus decided to take a different approach. He gathered a small team of scientists and engineers at the outpost, people he trusted and who shared his determination to help Lyria. They met in a conference room, filled with charts and graphs, but Marcus knew that numbers alone wouldn't save her people. He needed a plan, a way to harness the unique abilities of both humans and Veshtai. "Lyria, I want you to join us," he said, turning to her with earnest eyes. "We need your insight. You know your world and the threat better than anyone." Lyria looked up, surprise flickering in her eyes. She hesitated, but Marcus could see the spark of hope igniting within her. Slowly, she nodded. He felt a rush of determination course through him. As they gathered around the table, Marcus explained his vision. "If we can combine our technologies with your understanding of the Devourer, we stand a chance to create a defense system. We need to amplify the unique patterns of human neural activity to disrupt the entity's energy absorption." Lyria listened intently, her luminous skin shifting colors as she absorbed the information. The scientists began brainstorming ideas, throwing out concepts and theories. They discussed using Lyria's bioluminescent properties to create a beacon of hope, something that could draw energy from the Devourer and redirect its focus away. From her home, as the meeting progressed, Marcus could see Lyria's confidence returning. Her eyes sparkled with determination, and for the first time he saw a glimmer of the fierce warrior spirit she must have had in her world. She began to share insights about the Devourer, explaining how it thrived on fear and darkness. "We can project light. We might blind it," she suggested, her voice steady. "It feeds on despair, but it cannot survive where there is hope." Inspired by her words, Marcus led the team to work late into the night, fueled by adrenaline and purpose. They experimented with various light frequencies, trying to create a device that could project a beacon of hope strong enough to repel the Devourer. Lyria worked alongside them, her presence a reminder of what was at stake. Each moment brought them closer together, solidifying their bond as they united against a common enemy. However, as they worked, the threat outside loomed larger. Reports from Earth began to filter in, warning of strange gravitational disturbances near the outer planets. The Devourer was moving closer, and panic spread through the outpost. Marcus felt a knot of fear twist in his stomach. Time was running out. One night, exhausted from their efforts, Marcus found Lyria sitting alone in the lab, staring out at the swirling clouds of Jupiter. He approached her, sensing the weight of her thoughts. "Lyria, I promise we will find a way to save your people," he said softly, placing a reassuring hand on her shoulder. She turned to him, tears glistening in her eyes. "I fear we may not have enough time. My people are afraid, and they need hope. I need hope." Marcus felt his heart ache for her. "Then let's be that hope," he replied, his voice firm. "Together, we can show them they are not alone. We will fight this together." In that moment, he realized that their connection had grown into something profound. They were no longer just a human and an alien. They were allies, partners in a mission that transcended their worlds. The bond they shared was a beacon of hope in the face of despair, and Marcus knew he would do everything in his power to protect her and her people as they stood together. Gazing out at the vastness of space, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. They would face the Devourer together, and he wouldn't let fear dictate their fate. The time for action was near, and with Lyria by his side, he knew they were ready to confront the darkness that threatened to consume everything. As the days raced on, Dr. Marcus Chen and Lyria worked tirelessly, their determination growing stronger with each new discovery. The looming threat of the Devourer pressed heavily on their minds, but they found strength in each other. The research team at the Horizon Outpost was buzzing with energy, fueled by the hope that they could find a way to save Lyria's people. Yet beneath the surface of this camaraderie lay a growing tension. As the realization of their dire situation began to sink in, one early morning, while reviewing data in the lab, Marcus stumbled upon an ancient text, a record from a long-lost civilization. It spoke of cosmic entities that consumed worlds, much like the Devourer. Heart racing, he realized that the text might contain clues on how to confront such a powerful force. Excitedly, he shared his findings with Lyria, who listened intently, her eyes wide with curiosity. "This could be our chance," Marcus exclaimed, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "If we can understand how others faced similar threats, we might find a way to protect your home." With Lyria's help, they deciphered the text together, detailed ancient technologies that had been used to repel cosmic entities, including methods to amplify light and create shields of energy. However, as they continued to read, Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. The text hinted at a hidden truth about the ancient civilization that had once thrived, an unsettling secret that had led to their downfall. "Lyria, listen to this," Marcus said, pointing to a passage. "It says that the power to fight these entities came with a great cost. Those who attempted to harness it lost their connection to their own emotions. They became cold and unfeeling, sacrificing their very humanity for the sake of survival." Lyria's expression darkened as she absorbed his words. "What if we face the same fate?" she whispered, her voice trembling with fear. "What if we lose ourselves in the fight against the Devourer?" Marcus felt a lump form in his throat. The weight of their choices pressed down on him. He wanted to save her people, but he couldn't bear the thought of losing the warmth and compassion that made them who they were. "We must find a way to use this knowledge without losing ourselves," he replied, determination shining in his eyes. "We can adapt the technology to our unique strengths. We won't sacrifice what makes us human or Veshtai." Despite their resolve, doubt lingered in the air. As they worked late into the night, crafting a plan to combine their technology. With the ancient knowledge, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Reports from Earth indicated that the Devourer was drawing closer, and tension mounted among the research team. One evening, as Marcus and Lyria reviewed their plans, a sudden alarm blared throughout the outpost. Red lights flashed ominously, and the voices of the security team echoed over the intercom, warning of an imminent breach. Panic surged through Marcus's veins. "What's happening?" he shouted, his heart racing. Lyria's eyes widened in fear. "It's here. The Devourer has come." The outpost erupted into chaos as scientists and security personnel scrambled to their stations. Marcus and Lyria rushed to the observation deck, where they witnessed a horrifying sight. A massive distortion in space appeared just beyond Jupiter, pulsating with dark energy. The Devourer had arrived, a swirling mass of darkness that seemed to consume all light around it. "We have to act now," Marcus yelled, urgency flooding his voice. "We need to deploy the light shield we've been developing." Lyria nodded, determination replacing her earlier fear. "I'll help activate the device. We can channel our energies together." As they rushed to the control room, Marcus felt a surge of hope mixed with fear. Would their plan work? Could they truly stand against this cosmic entity? They reached the control panel and input the final commands. Their hearts racing in sync. The device powered up, a brilliant beam of light shooting out toward the Devourer. In a moment, it seemed as if they had succeeded. The darkness flickered, and for the first time, the Devourer hesitated. But then, the dark mass roared, a deep, resonating sound that shook the very foundation of the outpost. It retaliated, pushing back against the light with an overwhelming force in that moment of chaos. Marcus and Lyria felt a deep connection between them, a bond forged through fear and determination. They knew they had to channel not only their technological advancements, but also their emotions. "We can do this together," Marcus shouted, reaching out to Lyria. "Let our hope guide the light." With renewed focus, they combined their energies, pouring their emotions into the device. As the light intensified, the Devourer faltered, its darkness wavering. But just as victory seemed within reach, Marcus remembered the ancient text's warning about the cost of such power. He feared losing their essence in this battle, but he couldn't abandon Lyria or her people. "Stay with me, Lyria." "We will," not lose ourselves," he urged, his voice steady. Together, they faced the devourer, their hearts united in purpose. Whatever lay ahead, they would confront it as one. The battle had just begun, and the stakes were higher than ever. As the light surged forth, they both understood that their journey was not just about survival. It was about preserving the very essence of who they were. As the days raced on, Dr. Marcus Chen and Lyria worked tirelessly, their determination growing stronger with each new discovery. The looming threat of the devourer pressed heavily on their minds, but they found strength in each other. The research team at the Horizon Outpost was buzzing with energy, fueled by the hope that they could find a way to save Lyria's people. Yet, beneath the surface of this camaraderie lay a growing tension. As the realization of their dire situation began to sink in, one early morning, while reviewing data in the lab, Marcus stumbled upon an ancient text, a record from a long-lost civilization. It spoke of cosmic entities that consumed worlds, much like the devourer. Heart-racing, he realized that the text might contain clues on how to confront such a powerful force. Excitedly, he shared his findings with Lyria, who listened intently, her eyes wide with curiosity. "This could be our chance," Marcus exclaimed, his voice filled with enthusiasm. "If we can understand how others faced similar threats, we might find a way to protect your home." With Lyria's help, they deciphered the text together. It detailed ancient technologies that had been used to repel cosmic entities, including methods to amplify light and create shields of energy. However, as they continued to read, Marcus felt a chill run down his spine. The text hinted at a hidden truth about the ancient civilization that had once thrived, an unsettling secret that had led to their downfall. "Lyria, listen to this," Marcus said, pointing to a passage. "It says that the power to fight these entities came with a great cost. Those who attempted to harness it lost their connection to their own emotions. They became cold and unfeeling, sacrificing their very humanity for the sake of survival." Lyria's expression darkened as she absorbed his words. "What if we face the same fate?" she whispered, her voice trembling with fear. "What if we lose ourselves in the fight against the devourer?" Marcus felt a lump form in his throat. The weight of their choices pressed down on him. He wanted to save her people, but he couldn't bear the thought of losing the warmth and compassion that made them who they were. "We must find a way to use this knowledge without losing ourselves," he replied, determination shining in his eyes. "We can adapt the technology to our unique strengths. We won't sacrifice what makes us human or Vishtai." Despite their resolve, doubt lingered in the air. As they worked late into the night, crafting a plan to combine their technology with the ancient knowledge, Marcus couldn't shake the feeling that time was running out. Reports from Earth indicated that the devourer was drawing closer, and tension mounted among the research team. One evening, as Marcus and Lyria reviewed their plans, a sudden alarm blared throughout the outpost. Red lights flashed ominously, and the voices of the security team echoed over the intercom, warning of an imminent breach. Panic surged through Marcus's veins. "What's happening?" he shouted, his heart racing. Lyria's eyes widened in fear. "It's here. The devourer has come." The outpost erupted into chaos as scientists and security personnel scrambled to their stations. Marcus and Lyria rushed to the observation deck, where they witnessed a horrifying sight. A massive distortion in space appeared just beyond Jupiter, pulsating with dark energy. The devourer had arrived, a swirling mass of darkness that seemed to consume all light around it. "We have to act now," Marcus yelled, urgency flooding his voice. "We need to deploy the light shield we've been developing." Lyria nodded, determination replacing her earlier fear. "I'll help activate the device. We can channel our energies together." As they rushed to the control room, Marcus felt a surge of hope mixed with fear. Would their plan work? Could they truly stand against this cosmic entity? They reached the control panel and input the final commands. Their hearts racing in sync, the device powered up, a brilliant beam of light shooting out toward the devourer. For a moment it seemed as if they had succeeded. The darkness flickered, and for the first time, the devourer hesitated. But then, the dark mass roared, a deep, resonating sound that shook the very foundation of the outpost. It retaliated, pushing back against the light with an overwhelming force. In that moment of chaos, Marcus and Lyria felt a deep connection between them, a bond forged through fear and determination. They knew they had to channel not only their technological advancements, but also their emotions. "We can do this together," Marcus shouted, reaching out to Lyria. "Let our hope guide the light." With renewed focus, they combined their energies, pouring their emotions into the device. As the light intensified, the devourer faltered, its darkness wavering. But just as victory seemed within reach, Marcus remembered the ancient text's warning about the cost of such power. He feared losing their essence in this battle, but he couldn't abandon Lyria or her people. "Stay with me, Lyria. We will not lose ourselves," he urged, his voice steady. Together, they faced the devourer, their hearts united in purpose. Whatever lay ahead, they would confront it as one. The battle had just begun, and the stakes were higher than ever. As the light surged forth, they both understood that their journey was not just about survival. It was about preserving the very essence of who they were. The brilliant beam of light erupted from the device, illuminating the darkness surrounding the devourer. For a moment, hope surged within Dr. Marcus Chen and Lyria as they saw the shadowy entity flinch. The light pierced through the dark mass, revealing the swirling energy within. But just as quickly, the devourer retaliated, its dark tendrils lashing out like angry serpents. The very fabric of space trembled around them, and Marcus felt a surge of fear grip his heart. "Keep pushing." "Marcus, we're close," Lyria cried out, her voice filled with determination. She stood beside him, her luminescent skin glowing brighter as they channeled their combined energy into the device. But even as they fought against the overwhelming darkness, Marcus could feel something shifting within him, a strange, unsettling sensation that made him question everything. As the battle raged on, flashes of memories began to invade Marcus's mind, memories that felt foreign yet familiar. He saw images of Lyria's homeworld, lush and vibrant, but also filled with fear and despair. He sensed the collective anguish of her people, their cries echoing in his consciousness. The weight of their suffering pressed down on him, intertwining with his own emotions. Suddenly, Lyria's voice broke through the haze. "Marcus, focus on our connection. Can't let the devourer take our hope." Desperate to keep his mind clear, Marcus concentrated on their bond. He reached out to Lyria, feeling the warmth of her presence beside him. "I won't let it win. We will not lose ourselves," he shouted, pouring every ounce of his strength into the device. But just as they seemed to gain the upper hand, the devourer unleashed a terrifying blast of energy that struck the outpost with a deafening roar. The walls shook and alarms blared as chaos erupted all around them. Marcus stumbled, momentarily losing his focus. He glanced at Lyria, who was struggling to maintain her footing, her face a mask of fear and determination. "Stay strong," he urged, grasping her hand tightly. "We can do this." As they regained their footing, Lyria's eyes widened in horror. "Marcus, I feel it. The devourer is learning from us. It's adapting." Panic surged through Marcus as he realized the truth. The devourer was not just a mindless entity, it was intelligent, capable of evolving in response to their every move. "Then we need to change our strategy," he exclaimed, desperation creeping into his voice. In that moment, Lyria's expression shifted from fear to resolve. "We must go deeper. We can't just fight it. We need to understand it. I can help you see what it truly is." Could protest, Lyria placed her hand on his temple again, and a flood of sensations washed over him. He was thrust into a vision, a chaotic swirl of emotions that radiated from the devourer. He felt its hunger, its loneliness, and its desperate need to consume. In that instant, he realized that the devourer was not just a monster. It was a being shaped by pain, a creature that had suffered unimaginable loss. "Lyria, it's not just evil," Marcus gasped, breaking the connection. "It's lost, searching for something it can't find." Lyria's eyes shimmered with understanding. "And we must reach out to it, show it that we empathize. Can't let it consume us, but we can offer it something it has lost: connection." As they stood together, Marcus felt a surge of hope. You're right. If we can project our understanding and compassion, we might be able to change its course. With newfound determination, they adjusted the device, aiming not just to repel the devourer, but to connect with it. They channeled their combined energies into a beacon of light and emotion, radiating warmth and understanding. Let it feel our hope, Marcus shouted, his voice steady with conviction, as the beam shot toward the devourer. A moment of silence enveloped the chaos. The darkness paused, its tendrils hesitating as if sensing something different. Marcus and Lyria poured their hearts into the connection, their own fears and hopes intertwining with the devourer's essence. Suddenly, the entity began to change. The chaotic energy pulsed and shifted, the dark mass flickering in response to their plea. For the first time, it seemed to hesitate, and Marcus felt a flicker of something that resembled recognition or perhaps longing. Can it understand us? Lyria whispered, her voice filled with awe. Marcus nodded, tears brimming in his eyes. It's responding, we can reach it. But as they continued to project their emotions, Marcus felt a sudden jolt of pain. It was as if the connection was stretching too far, threatening to tear them apart. He gasped, holding on to Lyria for support. I can't hold on much longer. Don't give up, Lyria urged, her voice fierce. We are stronger together. We must believe that it can change. With one final surge of energy, they poured everything they had into the beacon of light. The devourer shuddered, its darkness flickering like a candle in the wind. In that moment, Marcus understood that their choice to offer compassion instead of fear was the key to breaking the cycle of pain. And then, as if the universe held its breath, the devourer began to transform. The dark energy dissipated, revealing a shimmering orb of light at its core. The darkness unraveled, and the entity seemed to pulse with newfound energy. Different kind of hunger emerging. A hunger for understanding, for connection. As the last remnants of darkness faded away, Marcus and Lyria stood together, breathless but hopeful. They had faced the unimaginable and emerged stronger, not just as individuals, but as a united force capable of compassion and empathy. The battle was not over, but they had set a new course, a path toward connection that could change everything. As the shimmering orb of light floated in front of them, Dr. Marcus Chen and Lyria felt a wave of relief wash over them. The devourer, once a monstrous entity of darkness, had transformed into something beautiful, radiating a warmth that filled the room. It pulsed gently, like a heartbeat, and for the first time, Marcus sensed a connection that transcended language and species. What just happened? Lyria whispered, her eyes wide with amazement. It's alive. Marcus nodded slowly, still in shock. I think we reached it. We showed it that we understood its pain. As he spoke, he felt a sense of accomplishment wash over him, mingled with a deep curiosity about what lay ahead. This was a pivotal moment not just for them, but for all sentient beings who might face the same kind of darkness. But as the initial shock faded, a new fear crept into Marcus's heart. What now? He asked, glancing at Lyria. What does it want from us? Before Lyria could respond, the orb began to shift and change, its light intensifying as it projected waves of energy toward them. Marcus felt it resonate within him, stirring emotions he had never fully understood. It was as if the devourer was sharing its very essence, revealing centuries of sorrow and regret. He gasped, overwhelmed by the flood of sensations. In that moment, Marcus realized the truth. The devourer was not just a creature of destruction. It was a being shaped by loss, much like Lyria and her people. It had been searching for a connection, a way to heal its own wounds. It's trying to communicate, he said, his voice trembling with emotion. It wants to connect with us, just like we connected with it. Lyria took a deep breath, her expression shifting from fear to hope. Then we must help it understand that it can be more than just a force of destruction. We can show it the beauty of connection and compassion. With newfound resolve, they began to channel their energy into the orb, guiding it with their thoughts and emotions. They projected images of warmth, friendship, and the joy of existence. Lyria's luminescent skin glowed brighter as she poured her heart into the connection. Marcus felt the bond between them strengthen, and he knew they were on the right path. As they focused on the orb, it began to change again. The darkness that once surrounded it faded, replaced by vibrant colors that danced like the northern lights. The devourer was transforming, becoming a being of light that radiated warmth and understanding. But just as hope filled the air, a sudden jolt of energy shot through the outpost, shaking the very foundation. Alarms blared, and Marcus's heart raced as he realized that the transformation had drawn the attention of nearby ships. The United Earth Council had dispatched a fleet to confront the devourer. Fearing it was still a threat, "Lyria, we have to warn them," Marcus shouted, panic rising in his chest. "If they see it like this, they might attack." Lyria nodded, her expression filled with urgency. "We must reach them before it's too late. They need to understand what has happened." Together, they rushed to the control room where screens displayed the incoming ships. Marcus felt a surge of fear for the devourer, now vulnerable and innocent. "We have to make them see. We can't let them destroy it." As they activated the communication systems, Marcus's heart raced. "This is Dr. Marcus Chen from the Horizon Outpost. We have made contact with the devourer. It is not a threat. It has transformed into a being of light, seeking understanding." A voice crackled over the intercom, filled with skepticism. "Dr. Chen, you must understand. The devourer is dangerous. Cannot risk it attacking us again." "No," Marcus insisted, desperation rising in his voice. "You don't understand. It has changed. We've connected with it. It's searching for hope, just like us." Lyria stepped forward, her voice steady and strong. "Please, you must trust us. We've seen its pain. It is not a monster. It is a being that has suffered just like we have. We can guide it toward healing." There was a moment of silence on the other end, and Marcus could feel the weight of doubt hanging in the air. But then, a glimmer of hope emerged. "We will allow you to show us that. But if it poses any threat, we will act accordingly." A sense of urgency, Marcus and Lyria worked together to send a signal to the devourer, guiding it closer to the approaching ships. As the light orb moved forward, Marcus felt a mix of fear and hope. Would the human forces accept it, or would they see it as a threat and strike? As the ships drew nearer, Marcus held his breath. He saw the crew members on the vessel's eyes wide. With disbelief, the orb pulsed with energy, radiating warmth and compassion. "This is our chance," he whispered to Lyria. "Together, we can show them the truth." And then, as the ships hovered nearby, the devourer transformed fully, revealing its true nature, being of light and understanding. Marcus and Lyria stood united, ready to face whatever came next, believing that compassion could bridge even the deepest divides. They had taken a giant leap toward a future filled with hope, and now they could only wait to see if the universe would embrace their vision. The shimmering orb of light floated gracefully in front of the United Earth Council's fleet, casting a warm glow that cut through the tension in the air. Dr. Marcus Chen and Lyria stood together, their hearts pounding as they watched the reaction of the crew on board the ships. Would they see the truth, or would fear overwhelm them? As the orb pulsed gently, Marcus felt a sense of connection with the devourer, now transformed into a being of light. He remembered the darkness that had once surrounded it, the fear it had instilled in so many. But now, he believed that this entity was capable of change, just as they had been. "We can do this, Lyria," he whispered, squeezing her hand for reassurance. The lead ship, a sleek vessel equipped for deep space exploration, began to broadcast a message. "Unidentified entity, you are ordered to stand down and prepare for inspection. Failure to comply will result in immediate action." The voice was authoritative, filled with apprehension. Marcus took a deep breath. "We must show them it's safe. We can't let them attack." He turned to Lyria, who nodded, her eyes filled with determination. They took a step forward, projecting their thoughts and feelings toward the devourer, guiding it to radiate warmth and understanding toward the ships. Please, we are not your enemy, Marcus called out, his voice steady. We have made contact. With the Devourer, it is not a threat. It is transformed. It seeks understanding. The orb shimmered in response, its colors shifting from deep golds and blues to soft pastels, creating a beautiful display of light. For a moment, it seemed as if the entire universe held its breath, waiting for a response. The lead ship hesitated, and Marcus saw the crew exchanging glances. He could feel their uncertainty, their fear, battling against the hope of what they were witnessing. We need to show them what we felt, Lyria urged, her voice filled with urgency. They must understand it's not just a creature of destruction. With a shared understanding, Marcus and Lyria focused their energies on the Devourer, channeling their memories of fear, pain, and ultimately compassion. They projected images of their journey together, the moments of connection, the struggles, and the triumphs of understanding. The orb pulsed brightly, sending waves of warmth toward the approaching ships. As the light washed over the fleet, Marcus felt a softening of hearts. The crew members seemed mesmerized, their eyes widening in realization. Lower your weapons. A voice crackled over the comms. We need to understand what is happening. Marcus felt a wave of relief wash over him. They had broken through the wall of fear. Thank you, he responded, his voice filled with gratitude. We can show you that the Devourer is not a monster. It is a being seeking connection, just like us. As the ships drew closer, Marcus and Lyria worked together to maintain the connection with the Devourer. The orb of light began to shift, revealing the essence of the creature, its memories, its pain, and its longing for companionship. The images flowed like a river of light, painting a picture of a being that had been shaped by suffering but was now learning to embrace hope. The lead ship's communications. Officer spoke again, awe evident in their voice. We can see. Understands us. It seeks to connect. In that moment, a bridge was built, connection forged not just between species, but between hearts. The fear that had once dominated the situation began to dissipate, replaced by curiosity and empathy. The crew members on the ships began to lower their defenses, allowing the warmth of the Devourer's light to wash over them, as the orb pulsed with energy. Marcus felt a sense of unity among everyone present. They were no longer isolated beings. In a vast universe, they were part of something greater, a web of connections that spanned worlds. Lyria turned to Marcus, her eyes sparkling with hope. We did it. We showed them the truth. But Marcus knew their journey was not yet complete. They had faced the darkness and emerged stronger, but there was still work to be done. This is just the beginning, he said, his voice filled with determination. We must continue to build this connection, not just with the Veshtai and humanity, but with all beings across the galaxy. The orb of light began to expand, creating a radiant shield around the ships. It was an invitation, a promise of cooperation and understanding. Marcus could feel the Devourer's energy intertwining with theirs, a symbol of their newfound alliance, as they stood together. Hand in hand, Marcus and Lyria looked toward the future. They had faced unimaginable challenges, but they had also discovered the power of compassion and connection. The echoes of their journey would resonate throughout the galaxy, reminding all sentient beings that even in the darkest of times, hope could shine through. The journey ahead would not be easy, but they were ready to face it together. With a Devourer now a guardian of light, they understood that they could overcome any obstacle, as long as they held on to their humanity and their hope.